guys? It is Phil, the MMA dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 100. We did it, Fight Geek, here with my brilliant co-host, as always, Fight Geek. Fight Geek, bro, it's episode 100. We did it.
We made it, man. 2+ years and counting. Happy we made it. Thanks to all the listeners for helping us get here, and excited to talk some more wild fights, man.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into all the action from this weekend, folks. We're going to look ahead. We're going to talk about Yuri versus Dominic Reyes, that card. Then we're going to move on to the new Watterson versus Rodriguez card. We're going to touch on Bellator 258, which is very underrated. Move on to the PFL very quickly. Then my favorite section, listener questions and more. But Fight Geek, I've got to start the show off today with a unique question for you, a unique opening question.
Unique question.
Yeah, it's a unique one. It's episode 100. I got to keep it a little, I got to keep things interesting here. All right,
let's hear it.
Honest, you got to give an honest answer, and then I'll give my honest answer. I've got an answer as well, but first you go. After we recorded our first episode, which was officially released on August 16th, 2018, and you'll recall this was literally the third or fourth episode we had attempted to do. We kept having audio problems, so this was really like the fourth time, but we finally got one done. August 16th, 2018, first episode was released. How many episodes did you honestly, deep down, think that we would get to, think that we would do?
Honestly, probably about 70.
Oh.
I know it sounds
wow, that much? Oh, I feel like a horrible jerk with my answer now.
I remember reading somewhere, I think it was Joe Rogan, and I may be wrong, and someone can quote it, let me know, that I believe he was quoted as saying, if you can make it to 70 episodes, then you've kind of established yourself as an entity, or something along those lines. So that always stuck with me. So that was kind of the number in my head.
Oh, wow, you believed in us from the beginning. Okay, wow,
I believe in me.
This is awkward. Okay, my answer was 11. I thought we were gonna get sick of each other after 11.
I mean, episode 1, I would say I was very optimistic. I mean, if you would have asked me after a handful of
like episode 7, I think episode 7 was one that I like. Ooh, maybe I'd had a glass of wine too many at dinner. Who knows?
Yeah, well. That has happened a time or two in 100 episodes, but I think that...
We did it, bro. Okay,
we did it.
All right,
let's get into it. They're done.
People are bored. They don't care. Okay. All right, so moving on. Really quick, UFC Vegas 25. Yuri Prochazka defeated Dominic Reyes in a crazy fight. What was a great first round, by the way.
Wild fight.
Wild fight, really. Both rounds were great. Yuri Prochazka defeats Dominic Reyes via spinning back elbow at 4 minutes and 29 seconds of round number 2. My question for you is simple. What is Yuri Prochazka's ceiling? Will he become champ?
I mean, well, what is the ceiling? Clearly, he has the ceiling of a champion.
But will he become champ?
I think looking at the current crop, him versus Jan is a really tough matchup, in my opinion, because Jan is very controlled and measured. But
I'm so excited. I hate rooting against Glover, but now I am, because I just want Jan versus Yuri.
Well, stylistically, that's so much fun. You have this wild madman charging forward, and then you have the thinker who just, outfight IQ'd Israel Adesanya. So, I mean, with huge power. So, I mean, I love that matchup. I think that could go either way. I think what makes Yuri special is how he, obviously performs within the chaos. I don't know if he would be able to generate enough chaos to beat Jan, but is his ceiling champion? Yes. Will he become champion? I'm going to say time's on his side. So yes, I think he will at some point be the light heavyweight champion.
I have to agree with you, because remember, everyone, before you go saying, oh, you're disrespecting Jan, remember, Jan is 38 years old, or at the very maybe he's 37, but you get the point. He's on the older side. I agree, by the way.
Yuri's only 28.
28.
Record, so
and by the way,
he's just getting into his mental.
He's just getting into it. I agree with you that if Jan beats Glover, and that's no small task. But if he does, and then it's Yuri versus Jan, as Dana White said Dana White said that the winner of Jan versus Glover will fight Yuri next for the belt. He said that this weekend. I do agree. I slightly favor Jan right now, but like you said, time is on Yuri's side. Jan is in his late 30s, so I agree. Jan, I agree with you that Jan would win, but I think Yuri will be champ eventually.
And then let's look at it the other way. Yuri versus Glover. How do you see that going?
Ooh, that, you know what?
I mean, Glover
that
would
favors
have his
Glover, right?
opportunity to get that fight to the ground and have success, but I think he would obviously be overwhelmed on the feet. Another really interesting matchup, one that, again, time is on Yuri's side as far as, the belt's concerned, but stylistically just interesting because you have the older, durable Glover who's very powerful and obviously has great grappling acumen versus the wild, young Yuri. So one thing I wanted to say is I think something so cool about Yuri is the fact that he had the opportunity to come to the UFC and actually held off,
right?
To get more experience and kind of become the best version of himself before he presented it to the UFC. I think that's a very intelligent thing to do, and I think you're seeing the fruits of that pay off with the way that he's finished 2 top 5 guys in his first 2 starts. It's very similar, our first 2 fights, similar to Gaethje having, an excess of experience when he came over and made the jump pretty easily to the UFC and turned into a star right away.
Yeah, just really quick on my point about Yuri versus Glover. I think that, we have one thing we've not seen, especially in the UFC, we have not seen Yuri face really high-level wrestlers, and Glover's a high-level wrestler. So I think that Glover could present a huge stylistic matchup for Yuri. I know Yuri hits hard, but look, Glover is tough as nails. I mean, he was eating everything Lionheart had.
He's had problems with hand speed before, hand speed like Gustafson's. So, I mean, Yuri is pretty quick and fast and awkward with the hands. I think he would be able to, have quite a bit of success, especially with the speed difference. And with the, Glover being so much older, he's lost quite a bit of speed. That's not somewhere he's going to have a lot of advantages. So, can he hit him with one big heavy shot? Yeah, but if they're just going back and forth in chaos, he's going to be throwing the much more labored, slow strikes, and Yuri's going to be just tagging him up, similar to what we saw last weekend. He just absolutely overwhelmed Reyes, who, to his credit, was hanging on for dear life to stay in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think gotta feel bad for Reyes, right? He didn't fight terribly. And
no, he didn't fight terribly, but I think it's clear to everyone that there's a little bit of a delusional confidence, at least in my opinion. I don't think he's not a talented guy. I think he's a very talented guy and actually proved what kind of a fighter and what kind of heart he has this weekend. But, he went in there, and I know everybody's pre-fight hype is kind of the same, but he was truly just, discrediting Yuri and he seemed somewhat overconfident. So it was a little bizarre from the pre-fight stuff. I know you got to, be pro yourself and build the fight, but didn't seem like, the way he was talking made sense to me. So,
okay, so what's next for Dominic Reyes? Because right now he's in a tough position.
A very long layoff.
Look, he's the number 5 ranked contender. This is as of, this morning. This is just updated. He dropped from number 3 to number 5 ranked contender. Yuri's now jumped up to number 2. But Dominic Reyes is on a 3-fight losing streak, Fight Geek. And, oftentimes Dana says, usually 4 losses in a row and you're cut. Is Dominic close to getting cut? Is he in like a winner-go-home situation?
He's a guy who has time on his side. He's not that old. He's only 31. In fight time, he's relatively inexperienced. He has less than 10 UFC fights. He shot up the charts and has lost to John Jones, one of the greatest fighters of all time, Jan Blachowicz, the sitting 205 champion, and Yuri, who's arguably the hottest thing since sliced bread in the UFC right now. So it's not as though he's fallen off some kind of cliff. He's fighting the absolute best guys in the world, and he's had some stumbling blocks. And I think that's to be expected for a guy who last episode I was trying to explain didn't come from a traditional martial arts
We
background.
know. He's a he's a football player.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So
but Figgy, to the point.
These are bad losses, and he's taken a ton of damage. But I don't think this is the end for him. You
That's
have a
fine.
lot of
That's
fights
fine.
still.
Who's next? Who's next for Reyes? He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Who's next?
Well, someone like a Volkan Oezdemir rematch would make a lot of sense because Oezdemir is on a losing streak at this point. So you put those two guys in a back against the wall kind of situation.
And
Actually,
Volkan won that fight, by the way. That was one of the worst decisions in UFC history.
Exactly. So it has a perfect
Reyes won that.
backstory to run that back as a rematch. Volkan has lost 3 of 5, and Reyes has lost 3. So it's almost kind of a do or die fight for both guys as far as like their top 5 standing would go. So I think that.
Well, no, Reyes. I think you're not being. You got to remember, Figgy. Reyes has lost his last 3. That would be his last 4. I mean, that would be humongous. That would be horrible for him. Again, I think he could get cut with the loss.
I mean, when you look at the depth in the 205
Tyron Woodley was the champ, and they got rid of him after 4 losses.
Yeah, Tyron Woodley was 38 years old and then lost 15 or 18 straight rounds or whatever. Much different than
Reyes
Dominic
is getting
Reyes,
finished.
Dominic Reyes just arguably put on the fight of the year. It was fight of the night.
I mean, he got finished inside 2 rounds.
But it was fight of the night, and everybody was talking about it. And I would say, to be perfectly honest with you, if I'm just judging off of, public perception, Reyes almost, his reputation almost went up in this fight by the way he went out on his shield. I think.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
I
wouldn't go so far as to say
Reyes now
that.
than they were before.
Yeah, no, he was a warrior. He was a true warrior. Showed a ton of
100% warrior, no doubt. But no, so I know you want me to say yes, but considering who he's lost to, I don't think you can cut him.
Okay. Okay.
But then again,
after one, I'm not saying cut him now. To be clear, I'm saying if he loses 4 in a row, would he get cut?
I do not think he would. I've answered that 3 times. But yes.
Calm down on the sass. It's episode 100. Open a beer, Fight Geek. We're having fun here.
I'm way ahead of you.
All right. Okay. Which one is there anything else on the card? Do we want to cover the co-main real fast? Giga Chikadze obviously getting the KO via body kick to ground and pound over Cub Swanson at 103 of the first round. I thought it was a big statement fight for Giga Chikadze at 145.
Yeah, not a lot to break down there. 100% statement fight. Sucks to see Cub go out like that, but you see Giga putting it together. What will be really interesting next is to see him versus a top-end grappler. Top guy.
So he's now ranked
top 10.
He's now ranked number 10. He's the number 10 contender. He moved up 4 spots. Chikadze did. Who would you like to see him fight next? Let me put out a name right now. What about number 7, Arnold Allen?
That makes a lot of sense. I like that. I liked his call
9,
out.
Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos?
No, I actually liked. He mentioned Jeremy Stevens this week on Twitter. I think Jeremy Stevens versus Giga is a good one. It's another name for him to add to kind of his resume at this point, and Jeremy Stevens should at least make it interesting.
Yeah, Stevens is not currently ranked at 145, at least according to the UFC.
I understand that, but
I hear you. It's a name.
Yeah, it's a name. Other than that, I think Arnold Allen is cool, but Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze kind of occupy the same prospect, new contender space. I don't think you'd want to knock one of them off at this time.
Okay, that's fair. Is there anything else on the card we wanted to cover? We've got a lot to cover today. Ooh, I do have to cover. I've got to take bragging rights. You picked Cody Stamann to beat Merab Dvalishvili, and I said Merab would win.
Yeah, I know, but arguably Stamann did win, in my opinion. He was backing up Merab.
It was a unanimous decision. Fight Geeks being hashtag petty, Fight Geek, hashtag petty.
All I'm saying is Cody Stamann marched him down the whole fight, had the better defensive wrestling, won the scrambles.
You think Stamann won the fight?
I think that fight was a lot closer than people just act like Merab washed him. Merab was backing up the whole fight. The whole fight.
I mean, he was landing more. He was controlling.
He was landing, but it's not like Stamen wasn't landing either. I'll give it. Merab won the fight. I don't want to act like he didn't win the fight, but that fight was razor close. And I don't understand why discrediting Stamen, marching him down the whole fight, and then still having the defensive wrestling to keep it standing isn't scored in his favor in any way. I mean, he was dictating where that fight was for the majority of it.
Okay, well, I just wanted to be a jerk and brag, but my last question on it is, who do you think's next for Merab Dawashvili? I think I'm saying it right, guys. If I'm screwing it up, it's not on purpose. I think that's how it's pronounced. I think.
At 135, right?
Yep. So there's he's Merab's the number 11 contender. In front of him is like 10 Rafael Sunsao, 9 Dominic Cruz.
I actually was thinking of Sunsao. I think that makes perfect sense.
That'd be an interesting one, right?
Yeah, and it'd be an opportunity for him. Sunsao's not quite a legend of the game, but he's
a veteran, a very respected veteran.
Exactly, a very respected veteran. Exactly.
Yep. Okay, so I'm done with covering the card. Is there anything else you wanted to cover on the card?
Did you have any thoughts on that Randa Marcos upkick?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for mentioning that, actually. That was interesting. I thought that, is it Pinheiro? Pinheiro?
I believe so.
So I thought that at first it looked, like she was absolutely... I don't know how these people are. I want to be careful about accusing anyone of any fakery because I have no idea. It did look like it wasn't the worst kick in the world, and the only reason that I would even entertain the idea that maybe things weren't on the up and up is when Pinheiro said, "Did I lose on the ground?" I thought that was a little... it struck me as overdramatic, but maybe I need to be careful here. Maybe that's inappropriate for me to say.
I don't know. I mean, her asking, "Did she lose?" Also,
it was a little overdramatic.
Maybe she did take some kind of headshot there.
No, I mean, if that was, I want to say this: if Pinheiro was being totally honest with that question, then they absolutely made the right decision to stop the fight. Duh,
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a bizarre one.
It was bizarre.
I don't think the upkick was bizarre. I think her delayed reaction to it is what made it bizarre.
That's exactly what I meant to say. Okay, you put it better than me.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it was strange either way.
Yep.
I thought her being carried out was rather Sean O'Malley-esque.
Again, that was another thing. Just the whole thing kind of didn't really add up to looking legit.
All right. Yeah, so that was interesting. I like that girl, though. I think she's got great potential. Obviously was winning that fight up until...
I feel bad for Randa Marcos. Look, I'm going to say this. Look, Marcos is 10-11. She's the best 10-11 fighter that I've ever seen.
Even better than Artem?
Yes, definitely.
Pound for pound, Artem's better than Randa Marcos.
Was his record that bad? Yeah, I guess it was, huh?
So, sorry to prove you wrong again.
Wow. Okay. Oh, don't worry. No. We're all
over the place here.
Oh, I've got a war coming with our listener question on that one. Okay, so let's move on. So, we're gonna quickly move on to Bellator. So, look, there's a big Bellator card coming up this week. It's Archuleta versus Pettis, and a lot of people are saying it's better than this Michelle Watterson versus Rodriguez card that got made last minute. What do you think? Is that fair?
I 100% agree with them. It is a better card, top to bottom.
Okay. So, really quick, let's just go through some of the
action.
Okay. So, Lorenz Larkin versus Rafael Carvalho is a prelim. So that tells you something.
Yep. At 185, Lorenz Larkin's going up from his normal welterweight as well. So that's another interesting wrinkle here.
I got Carvalho winning that one.
Yeah, I do too. I've got Carvalho via decision. I just think he's going to be much taller. He's used to the weight class. Should be fun, though, but I think Larkin will just be a little outsized. Then we have Patchy Mix versus Albert Morales stepping in for James Gallagher. Who you got here?
Yeah, I've got a feeling that Patchy Mix is going to get this done. I think he's a real good fighter.
Yeah, Patchy Mix is excellent. Albert Morales is a fun fighter. He'll come in and be extremely game, but he'll leave himself open for big shots as well. So Patchy Mix should look real good there.
Yeah. By the way,
Page,
real quick, is it just me or is James Gallagher always injured and always backing out of fights? It's
his
becoming a
fights,
bit of a theme with him, isn't it?
I don't really pay too much attention to Gallagher personally, but Michael Venom Page versus Derek Anderson. This is interesting. One of the better fighters that Michael Page has fought in the Bellator banner, probably.
Finally, he's facing someone with a winning record.
Yeah, he's facing an average lightweight at welterweight.
Yeah, exactly.
But Derek Anderson's tough and shouldn't be too much of a punching bag. With that said, Michael Venom Page, second round KO.
Michael Venom Page, first round KO.
But it should be fun. Another fun one. Rufian Stotts versus Josh Hill. That'll be a good, fun fight. You want to make a pick there?
Yeah, so this is a close one, right? We've got Rufian Stotts. By the way, this is a great bantamweight fight. Rufian Stotts is 15-1. It's a number 93 bantamweight worldwide versus Josh Hill, the Canadian, 23-0. So he's 20-3, the number 1 bantamweight in Canada. And I smell an upset. I think Josh Hill pulls the upset.
Really? Yeah, I'm going to take Rufian Stotts here. Just,
well, of course, he's the big favorite.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, Josh Hill's a very seasoned veteran. I think he actually fought Marlon Moraes for the belt in World Series of Fighting a long time ago. So he's faced top shelf competition. That will be fun.
Yep, absolutely agree. Okay, wow, this card really is pretty good.
Remember, I just wanted to point something out.
Yeah.
Remember last year when you were giving Bellator a hard time about the depth of their cards, and I kept saying as they were signing, last 2 years they were signing like 12 guys from Europe at a time, a bunch of guys from organizations at a time. Now you're starting to see the depth of the Bellator fight cards get much better. I mean, we're 10
I agree with that.
in.
I agree with that. I think
you didn't have faith.
I agree. I think the Showtime deal was the best thing that could have happened to them.
100%. So, okay. With that said, yeah, Patricky Pitbull versus Peter Quayle. You got any thoughts here?
Yeah. Look, this card really is more stacked even than I realized, I'll be honest. I got Patricky Pitbull here. Look, he's the former champ for a reason. People forget Patricky Pitbull used to be the big dog of the Pitbull brothers. I know that was, people forget that now. Everyone thinks of Patricio, but Patricky used to be the big dog on campus, and his little brother was the little brother. So don't underestimate Patricky Pitbull. By the way, I've had the honor of meeting Patricky several times. One of the nicest dudes in the world. Doesn't speak that much English, but so nice. So cool. And I've got Patricky Pitbull winning this by second round KO.
Yeah, I got to roll the same way, and I'm riding the waves of the gyms right here. I mean, the Pitbull brothers and their gym and what they got going on is riding straight up. And I'm a big fan of that style, their style, and what they bring. I think he'll outlast Peter Quayle, and I think, TKO second round.
Yeah, just quick side note, because now we're getting to Anthony Rumble Johnson versus Jose Augusto Azevedo, who's the last-minute replacement for Yoel Romero, who's taken off the card for failing the medical test, pre-fight medical test. Just quickly, with how amazing this card is, I mean, with this would have, in hindsight, if this had Rumble versus Romero on it, this would have been the best Bellator card of all time in terms of depth.
It may have been. And this guy is still actually very interesting. This guy's from the Pitbull Brothers gym as well in Brazil. He's on a 5-fight winning streak. He's an interesting character, especially with the question marks of Anthony Johnson coming back. He's a Brazilian, which means he's got great grappling, which has never been Anthony Johnson's strong suit. So there is a tiny bit of intrigue here. And short notice fights, anything can happen. So
absolutely.
With that said, I think Anthony Johnson comes in and gets a stoppage.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that, look, I think there's a lot of limitations with Anthony Johnson that people might not like to hear. I do think that when the going gets tough against the top competition, I think he can be prone to quitting a little bit in there. I think he can get discouraged. But he's a great fighter, and someone like Azevedo is absolutely not the one to break him, not even close. Anthony Rumble Johnson by second round knockout.
Excellent. Should be interesting to see and exciting to see Rumble back in the ring. I mean, that's a big puncher. Always fun to watch him.
And quick question before we get to the main event. Do you know, because I've been reading this, I've been trying to find out what exactly the deal is with Yoel. They're giving, I'm getting a lot of like mixed reactions from Bellator. I mean, I know that they're planning to still use him. I know they're planning to still have him fight. But do you know if he's still able to enter the tournament, or is that ship sailed? I'd imagine that ship is sailed.
I don't think he is. He may be able to be an alternate. I don't know if he would have had to been. I mean, he was in the tournament to begin with, so he may be an alternate if someone falls out and be able to hop back in. That I don't know. But
yeah,
you know, with what's going on with Yoel and what I'm hearing, you know, it might be hard for him to.
I'm hearing it's some serious eye problems.
Yeah, eye problems, which aren't, you know.
Which are no joke, as we know with Bisping, you know.
Yeah, which is no joke. And plus, you know, now we have, you know, Bisping. It's widely known that Bisping fought with an eye injury for, you know, multiple fights.
He didn't just fight with an eye injury. He fought completely blind in one eye and won the friggin' belt and defended it.
So they're going to be even more cautious of that kind of thing as the fight game evolves. And, you know, you have legendary stories like that. They're not going to allow that kind of thing to happen anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so are we ready to discuss the main event? Juan Archuleta versus Sergio Pettis for the Bellator MMA Bantamweight title.
Yeah, it's a great fight.
You go first. Who you got?
I'm going to take Juan Archuleta here. I just think he packs the heavier punches. I think he's probably the better grappler. I like Sergio Pettis, but, you know, he's been exposed a few times before. And I think Juan Archuleta has the style to kind of implement his physicality on Sergio Pettis, which, you know, physicality has always been an issue for the Pettis brothers. So I just think it's a tough matchup for him. I'm taking Juan Archuleta via unanimous decision.
I despise agreeing with you, but I also have Juan Archuleta via unanimous decision, and I think he's going to win 50-45, by the way.
Yeah, I imagine something like that. He's just, you know, I have a hard time seeing Pettis really push Juan Archuleta into somewhere he's really uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And then the last thing I'll say before we move on from this card is just obviously heart goes out to Yoel Romero. Hopefully he's able to get cleared medically. Hopefully his eye is okay. And, you know, hopefully we can see him versus someone. I would like Rumble Johnson still in the near future.
For sure. And I just wanted to call out, you know, Logan Storley, former top contenders fighting. He's 11-1. Henry Corrales is fighting on this card, and so is Eric Perez. So fun fighters all around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great card. Okay, moving on really quick to PFL Verdum versus Renan Fajeda. I had to mention it because the main event, again, is Fabricio Verdum. Guys, I'll just keep it real simple. I saw PFL the last few weeks. I've watched it in full. I am not a fan. You can call me a casual all you want. It does not allow elbows. You saw how important elbows are to MMA with the Yuri knockout of the year contender against Dominic Reyes this weekend. Elbows are totally banned in PFL. And I think it makes for an ugly-looking fake sport. What?
You can't.
I can't get over it. No, because it makes it so much uglier.
I know, but you're so simple that you can't.
So simple.
You can't appreciate Rory McDonald's submission victory in PFL last week because
I guess he did really well in punch wrestling, but that's not a sport. MMA is a sport, and MMA has elbows.
Well, then you're not allowed to ever watch another boxing match as long as you live.
I don't even like boxing. But
why
can't I watch boxing?
You're
why?
The one trying to
wait, why can't I watch boxing? Why can't I watch boxing?
Because it's only one form of fighting. It's not an MMA.
This is my concern, Fight Geek. If people think I'm being overdramatic, here's my concern, okay?
No, you're not being overdramatic. You're just being like uber hipster.
No. If PFL, just hear me out. If PFL takes off, it's got all these flashy backers. Marshawn Lynch just invested. Tom Brady
it's
enlisted.
on ESPN every week.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's this big.
It's here. It's not. What do you mean if?
If it actually takes off, its ratings are anemic. What are you talking about?
I'm saying the UFC took 20 plus years to get to ESPN. PFL's been on ESPN. So.
This is okay. Look, you're just making my point more clear. Frankly, okay. Let's say it takes off. How long before elbows are completely banned from other MMA organizations?
It
And
has
now the
nothing to
sport
do with
has
other
changed.
MMA
Do you see what I'm saying?
organizations. Do you understand why elbows are banned in the PFL?
Because they think it would cause too much damage for a league that's year-round, or a league format, which is
Well,
nonsense.
yeah, they don't want to have. They're turning these fighters around quick on average.
I understand, but you get bloody from punches too, and head
you do,
kicks.
and you just saw Anthony Pettis took a metric ton of damage in his fight, and there was no elbows allowed. He got beat to a pulp. That guy's probably not going to be ready to turn around and be 100% for his next league fight. I think that's
so you have you've got no problem with the no elbows. You think it's just as good, just as fun.
I think sacrificing the elbows for another organization who's implementing a league format, I think it's incredibly interesting. I think you have to be a little open-minded, but the season format is very, very cool in my opinion.
That's fair. So let me say something else. Let me just say something while we're on the PFL subject. Let me say the other reason I don't like them. If I'm being honest, and again, this is coming from someone.
You don't like anything.
I don't like PFL.
If we're being honest,
the fighters are not even close to top level.
That's not true.
They're not even close to Bellator level at all. Okay. Fight
on
Geek.
A case-by-case basis, that's not accurate.
Okay,
Maybe
Fight Geek.
overall depth.
Fight Geek. On this card right now, besides Verdum, he does not count. I want you to tell me someone who beats another fighter in the UFC at that respective weight. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, Justin Willis is on this card. He was in the UFC, and he has multiple wins in the UFC, right?
Justin Willis got cut.
Yeah, he got cut.
Is that Big Titty? You're telling me about Big Titty?
Yeah, a guy who has a win over Mark Hunt and Chase Sherman.
I mean,
he's beat a legend.
Yeah, over Mark Hunt and Chase Sherman. Guys, you get the point.
Oh, so now you're
Mark Hunt. Yeah, no, Mark Hunt at the very end of his career. Obviously, Mark Hunt is a great fighter, but at the very end of his career, really, come on.
The guy went to a decision with Curtis Blades, albeit he lost a unanimous decision. But it's not like
he got
he's
wrecked.
An absolute scrub.
Curtis said, "Learn how to wrestle, Big Titty."
The guy's a top 100. He's a top 40 heavyweight in the world. So
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Nope, don't agree.
Nobody cares what you think.
Nope.
Let's
that
just
hit
keep
a nerve.
moving. Kayla Harrison, who's on the
Fight
card,
Geek's
she's
mad
the
now.
co-main. Kayla Harrison's a top 15 woman in the world right now. There's no doubt about that.
At featherweight?
At any weight, pound for pound, Kayla Harrison's a top 15 woman in the world.
You're insane.
Name them.
You think Kayla Harrison, just so I understand,
do you think
pound for pound is a top 15 women's fighter? Homie, what?
What do you mean, what? Do you think she would beat someone like Julia Budd right now?
Absolutely not.
What?
Wait a second.
You're
Wait a
not
second. You think Kayla... Hang on. No. Let's get this out in the open. You think Kayla Harrison beats Julia Budd right now?
Right now, absolutely. Kayla Harrison.
Let's put $100 on it. Let's have some fun. $100 if they fight. $100.
Well, first of all, they'll never fight.
And why do you think that is?
Because they're in two different organizations, and Kayla Harrison is gonna.
Julia Budd?
Yeah, Julia Budd's in Bellator. She was the champion. Again, you don't even know who we're talking about, so let's just keep it moving.
Julia Budd was the champion of Bellator.
Kayla
Harrison's with PFL, but she just left for a fight last year. You know that's. I mean, I have no doubt that is not permanent, and she could easily get out of it. She got out of it.
Julia Budd has been in Bellator for a while, dude.
Thank you. She was the champ before Cyborg whooped her ass. I'm well aware.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm telling you, Julia Budd destroys Kayla. I think you're crazy on that.
Well, I know I'm not, but
you really got.
I've already named you 3 name fighters. Muhammad Usman is on this card, which is Kamaru Usman's big brother.
I am intrigued by him, but let's be honest, we don't. He's an unproven.
He's unproven, but he's 7-1. I mean, he's going against another unproven guy. It's interesting. It's it's much better than some of the stuff that Bellator has put on their undercard in the last few years.
No, I think the Bellator card this week is even stronger than the UFC card, frankly.
Well, 100%, but that's years in the making. PFL's in their 3rd season. They've already added guys like Rory McDonald.
All right, we got to keep it moving. People are getting sick of PFL.
Anyways, you're a hater.
On Kayla Harrison, I can't believe you think that Kayla Harrison would beat Julia Budd, the former featherweight champ of Bellator who lost to Cyborg. That's insane. Can't believe it.
I 100% know she would beat her. She's at the best camp in the world. She fights and trains with the best fighter in the world all the time in Amanda Nunes. She's a former gold medalist in the Olympics. She's literally
right.
has pristine pedigree.
All right, we'll let the listeners decide. They're getting sick of the conversation.
All right. Let's move on to what else we got.
All right. Moving on, we've got the UFC Vegas 26 Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson card. This main event was literally announced earlier today.
Michelle watered down card?
Yeah, seriously. It's honestly, this card's a disaster. There's no other way to really say it. Total disaster.
No, but it'll be fun.
No, it's supposed to be Dillashaw Sanhagen, which was I was so pumped for.
That's why I'm blacking out the trauma of losing my TJ fight.
It was supposed to be
this weekend.
TJ versus Sanhagen, and that would have been so great.
And then it was supposed to be Giga versus Cowboy, and that didn't work out either.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson. What do you got here?
I think Marina's going to win a unanimous decision. I think that she's underrated. I think she's a little slept on, and I think she's very dangerous. And people have to remember her last performance against Amanda Hibas.
100%. I think that this is a pretty easy decision win for Marina Rodriguez. She has a handful of very impressive wins already and a couple really close draws versus top fighters. She's going to have the length advantage, and the last few fights, Michelle Watterson's been like 3 feet out of range in her striking. So, taking Marina by unanimous decision here as well. That brings us to
Cowboy versus Alex Moreno.
Oh, yeah. I like this fight. Alex Moreno is game. He's fun. He has some knockout power, and he'll go in there and throw back and forth. But obviously, Cowboy, even at his advanced age, is going to have a big technical advantage. So I'm actually taking Cowboy here to add to his all-time wins record.
I annoyingly agree with you. I think the Cowboy's actually going to get a second
and I think that has a lot to do with the matchmaking here. I think they wanted to give Cowboy something that's a little more favorable.
Well, of course they did.
If you throw Giga in there, that's a wrap pretty quick.
I mean, the UFC loves Cowboy. They'll do anything to keep him.
Well, he's the all-time wins leader. He's
the all-time wins leader because of fights like this. Because he's fed, he's fed people like Alex Moreno.
Yeah, well, if you remember back in the day, he got fed guys like
I remember back in the day.
John McDessie when he was a top 10 fighter.
No, Cerrone's always game.
Done stuff like that.
Cerrone's always game. Look, most people love Cowboy. I don't, but I get it. He's always game.
Yeah, and you definitely have to respect. He is the wins leader. So when people are like, are they going to cut him? He's the all-time wins leader. He's literally like the billboard for what a UFC fighter is. So, he's not a champion.
Never won a belt, though.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's the all-time wins leader. No one's ever won more fights in the UFC than he has.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So moving on real quick, and we can't go through this whole card, of course, but I want to touch on Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal. The Battle of the Neals.
Love this fight.
Battle of the Neals. This feels like an inevitable one. I felt like these two were on a collision course. It's a fun one. It's a competitive one. Who you got?
Yeah, it is fun. It is competitive, but I think this is one of those levels fight. And I think Neil Magny has just been at it so long and has a few extra wrinkles. I think Neil Magny gets this done. I see a unanimous decision, Neil Magny.
I have to agree with you, unfortunately.
You better stop letting me go first. I thought you were Jeff Neal here 100%.
Let me go next. All right. And we've only got to cover, can only cover a few more, but really quick, Diego Fajeda versus Gregor Gillespie on the main card.
This is my sleeper for fight of the night.
This is going to be fight of the night. This is the one I'm most excited for, honestly.
Gregor Gillespie is coming back after a long layoff.
Wait, let me choose. You don't get to choose the winner, though. It's my turn.
All right, I'm just saying he looks like he's in phenomenal shape. He's had a long layoff. Fajeda just had a tough loss to Dariush in a close fight. He's going to bring the action. It'll be a lot of fun. Who you picking?
All right. I think it's a real fun fight, a real competitive fight. My original gut instinct was to absolutely go with Diego Fajeda. However, I think that Fajeda is someone who's a little bit of an anomaly. He did not look great in his last fight, if I'm being honest. And but you have to admit Dariush is one of the hottest guys in the Dariush is great. Dariush is great, absolutely.
So him not looking good is also
absolutely. But Gillespie has one loss. I mean, he got caught badly with a head kick from Kevin Lee, but that's his only loss.
But he was untouched until then.
I agree. I think Gregor Gillespie is going to win this. via, again, unanimous decision.
Yeah, I'm going to take Gregor Gillespie as well. I'm same as you. I really leaned towards Diego at first. Then as I dove into it, I just started leaning Gillespie. I think he'll get it done. I think he'll get the top position and be able to hold him down. I'm going to take Gregor via TKO, ground and pound, 3rd round.
All right. Last fight that we'll cover, I believe, is, unless you have objections.
We got the Amanda Hibas.
Amanda Hibas versus Angela Hill. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
This is a fun one. This is a close one. I think that Amanda Hibas is going to pull this out simply because I see the fight being close, and I don't think Angela's particularly good at winning these really close tit-for-tat fights.
I agree. I've got Amanda Hibas via split decision.
Ooh, yeah, I can see it.
It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be... I think it'll be a typical Angela Hill fight, as you kind of described.
Exactly.
But I do think Hibas will get the better of the exchanges and will be moving forward more often. So I think she'll get a split. But I did want to call out Kyle Dawkis versus Phil Hawes. I think that fight's going to be a banger, too. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute banger. Like you said, that's a very, very close fight. I'm tempted to frankly go with Dawkis, and I'm going to go with Dawkis. But guys, don't put any money on that one. Okay,
yeah.
Phil Hawes is dangerous and can easily win this. He's 10-2. He's the number 44 ranked middleweight in the world, above Kyle, who's number 47. Razor thin fight.
The Dawkis brothers, though, have been extremely impressive. Very sharp.
I got Dawkis winning this, bro. I got Dawkis via 2nd round knockout.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, to agree with you, but yeah, I'm going to take Dawkis here, just mostly because of how Phil Hawes kind of, his cardio really struggled last fight. I think that both of the guys will land on the feet, and I think Dawkis' cardio will outlast him, and he'll land some straight punches. Yeah, I'm going to say it goes to a unanimous decision, Dawkis.
All right. Okay. Enough about this card. Are we ready to move on?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. So, everyone, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we'll be back with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 100, here with my always brilliant and beautiful co-host, the Fight Geek. And it is now time for my favorite section of all, and that is... Listen
All right. Again, great questions tonight. Thanks to everybody who submitted them. Love it.
All right, so the first question is from a... you actually don't have this question. This was not written electronically. This is from my buddy Alex. What is our each other's favorite moment that you can recall from the show?
Favorite moment? Probably, doing our first interview with Gary Tonin. It's kind of the first, interaction we'd had with, anyone in the game. Just super exciting. Gary Tonin was super cool. Just felt like one of the guys. Completely just came in and talked with us just how me and you do our thing. So Gary Tonin, I think it was episode 17, was an early highlight for me for sure.
That's a great one. We've had 3 guests. So we've had Gary Tonin. Then we had Juan Adams just before the Greg Hardy fight, unfortunately. And then we had Gilbert Burns. I think that I've got 2. The first one is I agree with you. Gary Tonin, that was the first one. It was also a special interview because it was our first interview. We were able to do it together, It was a legit fighter, still a really legit fighter, and I feel like that was a really big win for us. And then my second moment has to be that 30-minute exclusive interview with Gilbert Burns in the lead up to his Kamaru Usman fight. That's episode 78, I believe, if anyone wants to check that out. But yes.
And that one time I picked the card perfectly, 13-0.
Oh, gosh, you just had to say that, didn't you? All right. So moving on to listener questions. Do you have one lined up, or should I go?
Yeah, I got one here.
Okay.
I got one from Too Comfy. He's been sending us questions the last few weeks. Thanks, Too Comfy. He says, now that the light heavyweight division is getting exciting again, should John come back or should he move on? #AskSplitPod. Go ahead.
So, sorry, should John go back to light heavyweight?
Yeah, basically, since there's some new blood at 205, it's a little more exciting than it used to be. Should he go back down and try to recapture his 205, or should he stick with the plan and run at heavyweight?
I mean, I'm guessing most people who are listening right now follow me on Twitter. I'm obviously pretty proud of the fact that I wrote, just wait. If Stipe beats Ngannou, then Jones will definitely fight for the belt. But if Ngannou wins, he will absolutely bitch out and say, I guess I have to defend my throne again. And it's just crazy to me. I meant that as a sarcastic insult to Jones. It never occurred to me that he would actually do that. But here we are, and it looks like he's going to actually do that. No,
it does not look like he's going to do that.
It's very possible.
You're so biased. What do you mean?
I'm so biased. What do you mean? Okay, I'm so biased. Fight Geek, is the negotiations going well? Are they going well?
Is John Jones 40 pounds too heavy now to be a 205er? Okay. He just spent the last year putting on muscle. There's no way he can get back to 205 in a reasonable amount of time to even fight this crop. He's enormous compared to what he used to be. So yes, I think you're wilding if you think he's going back to 205. The 205 John experiment or run is over for the time being. John just spent, I'm assuming, a ton of money on nutritionists and trainers, getting him to put on the weight the right way. All the dude does is post pictures of him powerlifting and, showing off his new gains. I mean, for someone who's so obsessed with John Jones, you really aren't in the know about what he does and says.
Now, I think that's fascinating. You say I'm not in the know on what John Jones does. Okay, Fight Geek, why don't you tell me what you know about his preparation for this Ngannou fight that I don't? I am all ears. This should be good. This should be good. Go ahead, sir.
I'm just saying, you never acknowledge any of that. You just acknowledge
I watch him. I watch his videos where he looks like he's slow as molasses at 240 pounds. I watch all of it.
Okay, so what about seeing him slow as molasses, putting on weight, leads you to believe that he's running back to 205?
What do you mean?
Absolutely no sense.
Wait, Fight Geek, listen to what you just said. What about him looking slow as molasses makes you think he's going to go back down? You just said that. Think about it.
That's your statement.
He looks slow. So he's not stupid.
Again, so you're assuming that John Jones is scared of Francis Ngannou, and that
I'm not. Okay, I want to be real clear. I don't think John Jones is scared of Francis. I know he's fucking terrified.
Why you're so obnoxious, is because you don't know anything.
He's terrified of losing, not of the actual fight. There's a difference.
Act like your opinion is a fact,
there's a difference, bro.
Your opinion is not a fact. It's just an opinion.
I understand that, but there's a difference.
No,
I'm not saying
you don't understand that because you're saying that you know for a fact.
You gotta let me wait. You gotta let me finish
Jones
this. You gotta let me finish this real quick. It's the same with McGregor Poirier. Hear me out. I'm not saying. See, you won't let me. Dude, let me speak, bro. Conor is not scared of fighting Dustin Poirier a third time. We all know that. He's not. But is he scared of losing? You bet your ass he is. Extremely scared.
Well, then you need to start articulating your points more, because when you talk about John Jones, it all mushes together and makes no sense. But if
I've been saying this over and over.
John Jones is not afraid.
He's scared of the consequences of losing.
But I think that's much different, because the consequences for John losing are actually much less than Conor McGregor losing to Dustin Poirier in a third fight. And that is because, John is the one playing with house money here. John is a 205 legend. He's the best 205er to ever do it. He's never proven himself in heavyweight. So even if he goes up there and gets knocked out by Francis in the first round, you can chalk it up to a bunch of things. A, he's a much older than he was in his prime. B, he's not in his normal weight class. C, Francis Ngannou is a once-in-a-generation predator. Now, if you go back to someone like Conor McGregor, Conor McGregor has to protect his reputation to a certain extent because how he made his money as the light heavy or the.
Let me ask you this. Does Jones want the Ngannou fight or not? Is he fighting Ngannou next?
I believe John Jones wants to compete against Francis Ngannou 100%.
And how much do you think he deserves? He said that $10 million.
We talk about this every
Well, tell
episode.
me. I want a number.
He deserves $10 million plus pay-per-view.
He already said that's not even close to enough.
Well, then $15 million plus pay-per-view.
He should make that. Then he should communicate that because it's certainly not being communicated.
Well, he's just communicated something based on the fact that he fired his managers. I think he's saying that I want to get a fight done.
I hope you're right.
All I'm saying is that you come out here and you talk one way so slanted against John.
Guys, but listen, Figgy, you make it sound like we're not going to find out the truth. If I end up being wrong, I'm going to have to eat all the crow, won't I?
I know, and we'll have had to put up with you being obnoxious for 3 years for no reason.
I'll eat all the crow. What do you mean? I'm telling you, I called it 2 months ago that Jones wasn't fighting Ngannou.
You haven't called anything.
All right, we'll see. Okay. All right. Do we have another listener question that you got lined up, or am I going?
Yes, I do. Here, I got one from Eduardo at Landacruz.
What up, Eduardo?
He says, what are your thoughts on a potential Dominic Cruz versus Jose Aldo matchup? Is it a must-see fight? And who would you favor winning? #AskSplitPod. You want to take this one?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I'd love that fight. I would favor Jose Aldo. Remember, everyone, this is easily forgotten. Jose Aldo fought very, very well against Peter Yan. People forget this. Aldo did not.
And he beat Marlon Moraes.
He beat Marlon Moraes. I mean, he didn't, but he did. And then, technically speaking, I mean, I thought that he absolutely
fought as well as anyone against Yan.
He pushed Yan a lot harder than Sterling pushed Yan. So I got Jose Aldo winning that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely like the fight. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't like the fight. I don't like putting two legends against each other because I want both of these guys to win. I like a fight where Dominic Cruz gets a chance to beat someone like a Casey Kenny.
To be honest, I was shocked. Looking back on it, isn't it a little? I mean, I totally get that they were in different weight classes, but still, isn't it a little shocking they never met in World Extreme Cage Fighting? With the, because it's not, there's
It is, but Dominic Cruz was kind of the late bloomer of that pack. He was getting really good right as that promotion.
But I remember him being really good at the very end of that.
He was very good, but if you think about guys like Uriah, Mike Brown, and
those were the leaders.
They were
obviously
staples of that
organization. Of course.
And then Cruz was the guy breaking in, who was kind of the new hot guy as the UFC acquired the WEC.
That's very fair. Yep, that's very fair.
But no, I don't love the fight because I do love both fighters, but I would favor Aldo, and clearly I'd watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Could you make Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz as a fight night headliner, or is that 100% go on a pay-per-view as like the third fight?
No, I think you make it a fight night headliner to make it, 5 rounds.
But those are some expensive guys at that spot.
Well, I love this. Let's not forget this new UFC rule where some non-title co-main events on pay-per-views are 5 rounds. I know that.
Well, that's yet to be seen now.
Well, Diaz-Edwards. It's not off. It's just moved to 263.
And that may be the headliner there. We don't know now.
I mean, I've heard it's still 5 rounds.
Well, if it's the headliner, of course it would be 5 rounds. So what I'm saying is if that was a one-off...
263 is Adesanya Marvin 2. What are you talking about?
In Arizona?
UFC 263, unless I'm completely tripping, is Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori 2.
I heard the Diaz-Leon fight's going to be June 12th in Arizona, but whatever.
No, I don't think that's correct. No, I think that's wrong. Move to 263.
All right.
Anyways, regardless. Okay. Do you have a question or is it my turn?
Yes, I have a question from Jacob Powers.
Jacob Powers with Podcast OG, what up?
He says, #AskSplitPod. What knockout has been your favorite so far this year? And this is a tough question.
Tough one. There's been so many.
So many, but I'll go ahead and go first here. I'm going to say Roses over Weili just because
That's a good one.
How shocking it was, and the fact that there was a real sense of, Weili's this Terminator, this young, unbeatable champion. So for Rose to have that moment, I mean, I truly jumped out of my seat and was shocked. I mean, as shocking as all the other ones were, that one was the best one for me.
Yeah. Honestly, kind of, I have one in mind, but hard to disagree with you when you put it that way. I mean, it was such a beautiful question mark.
It was so technical, and it was versus someone who was arguably, a top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Like the Masvidal and the Reyes knockouts are amazing, but they weren't at that level that Weili was after beating Joanna. I mean, that's like knocking out, an elite champion with a perfect technique. Just completely unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought it looked great. So my answer, actually, despite what we just said, is Usman knocking out Masvidal.
Big surprise.
A few reasons for it. First of all, it was the brutality of it. I mean, with specifically
the impact,
the right cross that lands, and it just sends almost like it looks like rain falling from all the sweat that's kind of hit off of Masvidal's face.
A mist.
Clearly like a mist, exactly. The follow-up was just, it was so brutal, it was so dominating. And, look, I won't lie, everyone kind of knows this. I despise Jorge Masvidal as a person. I think he's a horrible, horrible guy. And I took a lot of pleasure in seeing him get hurt.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was just, I mean, all of them are awesome, which,
And I don't take pleasure in seeing most fighters get hurt, by the way, at all.
Nobody cares what you take.
Jorge. It was nice to see Jorge's eyes open and no one home. I'm not going to lie. That was nice to see.
Yeah, and then he came back and was a true man and a warrior about his loss, so give him his respect and keep it moving.
Yeah, Masvidal ain't getting no respect from me, but I get that you like him.
You would.
Yeah, fuck Masvidal 100 times over. Anyways, who we got next?
We got you reading a question.
All right. So, this question comes from our friend at 2comfy69. 2comfy, keep it. Come on, this is a PG show. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now that the light heavyweight division is getting exciting again.
Already read that one.
Okay, all right. Chill out. Okay, this question comes from Jalen Ware, our man, at strive2be_GR8. Is this the first time that the UFC's trio of female champions are better and more skilled / well-rounded than any 3 of the UFC's male champions right now? What is Fan Fave Hill lacking to take that next step into the female fighting elite? #AskSplitPod. Wow, 2 great questions.
2 great questions. Well, let's just put it this way: are the 3 women's champions better than any combination of the 3 men's champions?
Honestly, they might be. I
mean, well, who would
There's a real conversation.
Who are the 3 best men's champions right now?
In terms of well-rounded, we're talking in terms of well-roundedness.
Basically, the most elite guys are well-rounded. So yes,
I mean, don't you have to say someone like Kamaru?
And then I think someone like Figueiredo, actually, he can submit you and knock you out.
And then, do you say Volk?
See, I don't know much about Volk's grappling, but I think you could.
Well, I think this is proving actually the point.
Well, if you had
saying.
Like Figgy, Poirier, and Usman,
but Poirier's not champ.
Close.
Whoa, can't do that.
Right, I know. So yes, the women, the trio of
I think the answer is yes.
Valentina,
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that would be. That's unbelievable talent at the top. It's crazy. But yes, and then what does Angela Hill need to be truly elite?
Power in her strikes.
Power in her strikes, yes.
She never hurts anyone, and they don't respect her power, and that leads to problems.
100%. I agree with you.
Yep.
But she's she has a gas tank. She's tough. She's in the fight, but she usually lands quite a few strikes. But yeah, she almost suffers from a little bit of what Joanna does, whereas if Joanna had any striking power, she'd be the sitting champion today.
Okay, but, I mean, whoa, let's not be... JJ fans are feeling pretty offended right now, in all fairness, with you comparing her to Angela Hill.
Well, I'm just saying both of them are volume strikers who don't possess one-shot knockout power.
Well, Max Holloway's a volume striker, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, but, he also, I think relatively speaking, he's probably packing a bigger relative punch than Angela Hill.
Yeah, I think we can definitely agree there.
Right.
Okay, so, this question is from @Tabs1172, Split Podcast OG. We haven't read this, right?
No, we have not.
He says, congratulations on the 100th episode. So, does Conor submit Poirier? Haha, nah, I'm kidding. My question is, who do you see as the middleweight champ by the end of the year, and do you think Jones even fights this year?
Who do I see as the middleweight champ? Israel Adesanya.
I was going to say, I think Izzy.
Yeah, and then does John fight by the end of the year? I'm going to say yes. John will fight one time this year, and it'll be towards the end of the year, August or later.
This is going to be really interesting to see how this one ages. I strongly disagree with Fight Geek, but again, I'm ready to eat crow. I think John will not fight this year. I think they will make Ngannou versus Lewis 2 instead. I think that Ngannou will beat Lewis, and Jones will fight Ngannou, but not until 2022.
Well, I mean, what do you mean, though? The time frame would still line up. We're only in early May, so
he said, what do you mean, what do I mean? I said
Ngannou
Jones ain't going to fight this year.
Derek Lewis would happen in, June.
No. It's going to happen in, October. Dude, most of the fights are filled. Most of the cards are filled.
June, July, August, September. He could fight in August versus the Black Beast and then still fight in December versus John, depending on how that fight goes. But, yeah, I guess I see your point.
Yeah, I think Jones is going to try, and to be clear, what he's doing is he's hoping Lewis wins, because obviously we all know Lewis is a much easier matchup for Jones.
Exactly what John's thinking.
We know that he's hoping and praying that Lewis will win.
Nobody else acts like they know what
it's not going to work. Sorry, Johnny boy. Francis ain't going anywhere.
Only you have the telekinesis.
You know I'm right about this. That's why you're annoyed. You're annoyed because you know I'm right.
Bro, about the John Jones stuff.
You're annoyed because you know I'm right.
I'm just annoyed because you beat the same drum and only speak spewed fat or.
It isn't spewed, bro. The fight would be. Look, the fight should be made already.
The guy's putting on weight, firing his manager, begging for the fight, and you claim he's scared.
Not scared of fighting Francis. Scared of the consequences of losing.
And I just explained to you why he wouldn't need to be scared of those consequences, because he'd be playing with the house money at that point.
We disagree on that, but that's okay.
It would be no different than Israel going up to fight Jan and then getting beat back down to 185.
It'd be a little different, and we both know it.
Only if he were to take catastrophic damage. Otherwise, it is what it is. It's
all right. Fair enough. Okay, so this question coming on from King Richard, my man. That's @V_King Richard_V. He says, next GOAT segment. Who is the GOAT of the men's bantamweight division? And who, if they continue their ways, could become the next bantamweight GOAT?
Well, this is easy. To me, TJ Dillashaw is the bantamweight GOAT.
Dominic Cruz is the bantamweight GOAT. You're completely wrong.
I don't think so.
How can you say that? Cruz has a win over him.
That fight was extremely close.
Yeah, but Cruz has, I believe, more title defenses. No?
Dominic Cruz, I'm pulling up his record right now because it's been
Cruz has the slightly better record.
Better record? What do you mean?
No. In terms of championship title fights.
He came to the UFC with the belt, which means he never won the UFC belt. The WEC belt morphed into the UFC belt. He defended it versus Uriah Faber. Demetrius Johnson is a hell of a win, but that was at bantamweight, which isn't Demetrius's weight.
Oh, come on. Takeya Muzagaki.
So he has 3 career title defenses.
Wait, Fight Geek, you there? Broke up for a second. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. He beat T.J. Dillashaw in a split decision to win the UFC Bantamweight Championship on January 17th, 2016. Because
So they both have three bantamweight title defenses in the UFC. I don't know. It's a pretty close one. I guess you could still lean.
You got to go with so you got to go with head to head.
You convinced me. I'll still take Dominic Cruz by a hair over T.J. Dillashaw. And the only other people that really would have a claim to that anytime soon would be if Henry Cejudo came back and started putting together some wins. Peter Yan is still, I would say,
he's still got a ways to go, obviously.
Yeah, based on where we are currently in this current crop, Peter Yan will need probably 4 title defenses to really own that title. But right now, I think you can say Cruz, and then you can say TJ, and then after that, it's really open for discussion if you want to say someone like Garbrandt or Uriah Faber or Henan Barao. They're all kind of in that space.
Absolutely. Okay, next question comes from my man Juice at the Friendly Sparring Podcast. Check that show out, guys. Great show. He says, what are your thoughts on Giga's horrible call-out of Max? Is it Giga or Giga? You say Giga, but I'm not sure.
It's Giga, I believe.
It's Giga. That's what I thought.
But
Giga's Hova. That's Jay-Z, isn't it? He's like, Giga.
Yes.
No? Okay.
Yes, but no.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I understand. What are your thoughts on Giga's horrible call-out of Max?
What is my thoughts? I got 2 thoughts here. One is, as a martial artist, I understand wanting to call out the guys who you look up to and want to test yourself against. But then there's the second side of it, which is you have to be, realistic with shooting your shot. And Max Holloway is in such rarefied air. There's legitimately 3 guys that deserve to fight him in the whole division. One's the champion, and 2 of the other guys are, the very, very elite, upper echelon, established guys. So that fight is not happening, in my opinion. I do like the Kelvin Cater call out, the secondary one. I think that would make more sense. But even Kelvin seems like
Cater needs he's on a big break from that fight.
But I don't think that's the matchup either. I thought it was. Again, as a true martial artist, you always want to test yourself against the guys you admire, so I understand.
But was it smart? It feels like it was a waste.
Oh, well, 100% a waste. As soon as, for instance, I'm watching it, listening, as soon as he says Max Holloway, I personally am like, oh, okay, dude, yeah. I think that's pretty much how we all collectively felt like, well, that's not going to happen. So. Right.
Absolutely. So I thought it was a bit of a wasted call out, Juice, as Figgy just said.
I wish, some of these guys, it doesn't take long, on fight week where you're wasting time to hop on the rankings and find someone who's legitimately within your reach to call out. Some guys have great call outs, but, even you have managers, you have coaches, you have a whole team around you. You can't have one guy do 15 minutes of research and give you 3 names.
Thank you. I was actually just going to say, one thing that does blow my mind about fighters in the UFC is when they win and then, they're always asked the same question, right? You have someone in mind next? Who's next? And maybe 75 to 80% of the time they'll say, I don't care who's next. Whatever the boss says, let's go. Shout out.
What's crazy is that the UFC would quit asking that if they wanted to. They're purposely
right. It's like, do you guys understand the sport that you love?
To generate interest in future bouts. That's why they're asking you.
Right. I can't be more clear to fighters who fighters in the UFC. Assume you're winning and have some fighter names ready.
And if it's not
it's crazy that I have to say that.
Have someone who you trust pick 3 names that make sense, and don't make it a champion or a number 1 contender if you're unranked.
Yeah, it's got to be realistic. Absolutely make it realistic. So it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, a lot of guys miss their call-outs for sure. Especially
And what's crazy to me about that fight, Geek, is it's like, aren't most of them fans? Didn't they start off as fans of the sport?
Well, what's crazy to me
How do they not get it?
The UFC's a ladder. It goes from one step to the next step to the next step. So I mean, how do you not fantasize and daydream about what those steps could be? You know what I mean? Who they could be.
Right.
So
Right.
just interesting when a guy misses it by like 10 spots. You're like, whoa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, next question is from Eric Buchert. I believe I said it right?
Got one right.
Boom! Eric, what up? Got it right. Okay, and that is at ATANAK74. Thanks, Eric. He says, congrats on 100 episodes. If you could spend a week training with one UFC fighter, who would it be? Hashtag AskSplitPod.
Such a good question.
It's a great question.
If I could spend...
Is this... I have a quick, pre-question. Is this for the fun of hanging out with them? Is this to improve as much as you can as a martial artist? Is it both?
Well, yeah, it says spend a week training, so the skill set that you'd be learning would be important there, too. Mine is pretty simple. I'd go with Justin Gaethje and Trevor Whitman.
Ooh.
Justin Gaethje just seems like a fun guy. He's a wild man. We're both from Arizona, so I appreciate that. And Trevor Whitman, he's the hottest coach in the game right now. Striking genius, so that would be a lot of fun, especially as a guy who really loves striking. So.
Yeah. So I had two names in my mind. The first was Israel Adesanya. Frankly, would love to learn a lot about sort of how he fights. I'm a big fan of his sort of aggressive counter-punching style. He's a really great offensive, defensive fighter, if that makes sense. And
yeah, for sure.
So I'd love to learn about that. And then my second answer, and maybe the one I would truly go with, is Kamaru Usman and Trevor Whitman, because I've seen Kamaru in 1 year transform from a dominant wrestling champ to a champ who now can knock out Jorge Masvidal in 2 rounds. And I want to learn from that guy,
100%. I think Trevor Whitman's a no-brainer. And if we're getting secondary choices, I would go with Dustin Poirier and Mike Brown at
That's
ATT.
a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin Poirier's a chill guy. He's sponsored by Everlast. Unbelievable boxer. Love the way he boxes. Love the way he uses his hooks. So would love to do that. Also, man, I could go out doing this forever. But TJ and Weirdo Dwayne, that would be fun too. Actually, TJ probably hurt you in training, so never mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
TJ probably think you were stepping on his territory, end up knocking you out in training.
Yep. Completely agree, actually. Okay, hang on. I'm trying to see if we have any non-voice questions left, and it's very possible that we do. I think we've still got another. I think we've got one. Did we answer Judah at Judah Peru 1984?
I don't think we did.
Okay, here's a question. What should the UFC do about Emmy award-winning acting in the UFC? Should they do nothing or start imposing penalties?
I mean, that's a tough one. I like the idea of, cracking down on people, embellishing there, but unless you're in their shoes, how can you be sure that they're embellishing? I mean, we're asking them to go into a form of hand-to-hand combat, and then we're going to tell them they're faking. So, that's a tough one for me. I don't know how you could possibly implement that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest change they need to make, just to be specific, is when there is an illegal strike that potentially can end the fight, such as, Jones' illegal knee to a grounded opponent against Anthony Smith, to, Jan's illegal grounded opponent kick to Sterling, I think that you've got to take it out of the fighter's hands. Because think about it. The fighter has a clear incentive to not continue the fight. I mean, they just 100%. Do.
100%.
And that's just the truth, and that's set up by design, and that's MMA's fault for setting it up that way. It should not be their decision. That makes things awkward. It should be the decision of the referee.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Again, it's tough though. I mean, there's a lot of gray in there.
Absolutely, there's a lot of gray. Okay, so now moving on to, I think the the written listener question that we were all sort of waiting for, at least I was. This is from, we didn't ask Pat Tobin's, right?
I don't believe so.
This is at Pat_Tobin, a true Split Podcast original gangster. And he says, congrats on 100 episodes, guys. What is your worst MMA take or prediction that you've given in your 100 shows? And what is the worst that your co-host has given if you don't agree with what they say? Hashtag AskSplitPod. What a fun question.
It is an excellent question. I'll go ahead with my worst MMA take, and I think that is that we will see the most spectacular version of Conor McGregor ever versus Khabib. That's got to be my worst.
Dang it. You took a little bit of I was going to brag about that. So, guys, on episode 4, that was episode 4 early in the show. We were previewing UFC 229. I chose Khabib to win. He chose McGregor. And that was on my list of picks to make fun of you for. I have a bunch.
Yeah, that was a bad take. So do you have your personal worst take?
I don't have my personal worst take. I've got a bunch for you though. So let me mention.
Well, no. What do you mean?
I only give good takes, dude.
No, right. Well, I'm gonna say that one of your worst takes is that you thought Aspen Ladd was the stoppage was too quick when Jermaine Durandamy straight.
Oh,
deadline.
Whatever. If that's the worst you've got,
take.
You ain't got shit.
Basically, any take revolving around Aspen Ladd, John Jones, are both pretty horrible.
Oh, please. Relax. Okay. I've got more. You said last week that Robbie Lawler has a better title run than Kamaru Usman. That is garbage.
That might not be accurate, but it's not egregious. It's like
it's kind of egregious, bro.
It's not egregious. You're
Usman has 4 title defenses, and they're all very impressive, unlike, say,
Darren Till and Gilbert Burns.
And then Jorge Masvidal twice.
Okay, so you're proving my point. Those are not.
Okay, what about Tyron Woodley? Defenses. You also said Lawler was better than Woodley. Boom.
Well, no, sorry. Woodley is the one with the Till and the. Woodley has title defenses versus Darren Till, a draw versus Wonderboy, and a win versus Damian Maia.
And a win against Wonderboy. And the first Wonderboy fight should have been a win.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. But, yeah, I would say that Woodley's resume, I mean, it's not ironclad.
Okay.
The Darren Till win is aging poorly. The Maia win, I mean...
Oh, yeah? How's Jones' win against Dominic Reyes aging? Yikes.
There you go with your Jones slander. But, yeah, it's not a victory that's aging very well. I mean, so...
Okay, hang on. Real quick, to answer the second part of the question, what were some of Fight Geek's worst picks? Just to show everyone how petty I am, I just thought of these on the spot. So you obviously beat me to the choosing Conor over Khabib at 229. I chose Khabib, you chose Conor. I chose Lionheart to beat Alexander Gustafsson. You mocked me for that. I win, you lose. I chose Jack Hermanson to beat Kelvin Gastelum. You mocked me. I win, you lose. I chose Jan to beat Izzy by decision. You mocked me brutally for saying by decision. I win, you lose. So those.
All right, well.
And I just thought of those in like 4 minutes. Like, that's how petty I am.
Sure. No, trust me, you think about that kind of thing all the time. I know. It's okay. Small victories for Phil.
No, there's, and full disclosure, guys, there's just as many of me getting them wrong with Fight Geek, so.
Oh, they know. They follow your Twitter feed.
Oh, okay, I was actually being nice. You want to compare our competitive MMA records for predictions this year? I think I'm in the lead.
Maybe this year. All right, let's keep it moving. I got this question from Kairos queued up. You want me to
Kairos! Love Kairos.
Here we go. 1 second. It says there's a problem.
Fight Geek's having trouble, guys. Let's see if he can...
I'll get there sooner or later.
Figure it out. Do we need to hire like a PA or something?
Well, how did he send this here? Where is it?
He sent it via Google Drive, I thought.
Sent me a question via Google Drive. Goodness. He's posting videos all over the place.
All right. While Fight Geek is dealing with that, guys, really quick, if you like the show, if you want us to continue, if you could quickly hit subscribe, however you're listening to this, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, if you could hit subscribe, if you could quickly hit a 5-star review, guys, it makes the biggest difference in the world. We want to keep doing this show, but we want to make sure that we can continue to do this show. So if you got a second, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Now is the time to do it. And please give us that quick 5-star review. You do not need to write a paragraph. You can just say, this show is good. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, Fight Geek, do you have the question ready?
I don't got it, dude. I don't know. I can't. I'm having a hard time downloading it. So, do you want to try from your DMs?
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Really? Here we go. Sorry, it looks like I got it.
Okay.
Sorry. Apologize for the inconvenience.
What's up, Phil? What's up, Fight Geek? This is a little bit of a long question, so bear with me with this one. Is there any fight that you would be willing to watch 5 times? I ask that because there are some matchups that potentially could go that way. You have Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. Amanda's taken 2 of them, but what if Valentina were to win 1 and take the title from Amanda? They probably would give Amanda a rematch, and let's say if Valentina beat her again, they would be 2-2 apiece. Would you be interested in watching the 5th one out of that? Also, a similar scenario would be Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Rose Namajunas. Who's to say that Joanna doesn't fight Rose again and beats her for the title? And they say, well, Rose has 2-1 and Joanna has the title. Why not do it again? Let's say Joanna beats her again. Would you be interested in watching the 5th fight for that as well? It's not like it hasn't happened before. I cannot remember. I think Rampage versus Vanderlei Silva was like out of 5. I think there's a few other matchups like that. It's not super common, but it has happened before. But that's my question for you. Is that entertaining to the average MMA fan, and is that entertaining to like a fan of YouTube's caliber? Probably not, but a guy can dream anyway.
Great question.
Great question. Everyone, if you don't follow Kairos on Twitter, now is the time, okay? He's one of the best accounts. That's at Kairos MMA2. Give him a follow, end of story. He's one of the best accounts. Great question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I am not against, longer, a 5-fight series if it's warranted. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the Rose versus Joanna one is tough because Rose has won via stoppage and decision. So that's one that even it would be tough to see get there, but I see his point. Now, if you were to look at someone like, Valentina versus Nunes, that's more interesting to me because the second fight was so close to where Valentina won. You could, obviously, depending on the way she won or the way the fight played out, clearly you could see a 4th there. And then if that series were to be even, who wouldn't want to see the best of 5 between Val and Nunes? So I think that's the most relevant matchup to this question. And for a fan of my caliber, thanks for phrasing it that way, Kairos, made me feel real important. Yeah, I think in certain instances it would be interesting. So, and there's other instances where, maybe there's a DQ in one of them or something like that. So it was inconclusive and you'd have to have the extra one to kind of prove your point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was curious just now, so I did look it up, and I believe with about 99.9% accuracy that Vanderlei Silva and Quinton Rampage Jackson fought 4 times.
Yes.
With Vanderlei, interestingly, taking the first 2 and Rampage taking the next 2. So I don't believe they fought 5 times, but 4 times is a lot. So, point proven. In terms of, fights I want to see 5 times, the ones that I came up with my list, Nunes versus Shevchenko, as Fight Geek said, right? I think we agree those are the only... Look, it's this simple.
Actually, let's hear me out here.
Yeah.
Poirier versus McGregor could have an opportunity to drag out. Especially, let's say...
that's not crazy.
Because let's say something...
But McGregor won't agree. If McGregor wins 2-1...
What I'm saying is, let's say this is the 3rd fight and something inconclusive happens. Someone gets poked in the eye. Someone does this. Someone does that. We're definitely getting a 4th fight. So the 4th fight between McGregor and Poirier is very close, honestly, in my opinion, because what if, there's so much that could happen in there. What if there's a controversial stoppage and Conor wins and then, Dustin's saying that it was a bad stoppage, and then Conor's ego gets the best of him and gives Poirier another chance or something.
Yeah, so, sure. Yeah. Sure, absolutely. So I think that's actually a very fair take. Nunes versus Shevchenko, because I think those are the only two women that can challenge one another. And then I also have Alexander Volkanovsky versus Max Holloway. Now, that may annoy some people, but look, in my opinion, Volk won that first fight very clearly. That wasn't close. Max won that second fight 3-2. I truly believe that. And if Max, let's just say that Max wins the third, it's technically 2-1. So, I mean, what do? You say Volk can't fight him again? No, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, especially with the age. And the last one I'll call out, because it's similar to that, is I'll say Figgy versus Moreno. Both are still very young.
Okay. Yeah, I don't dislike that pick either.
Moreno's super young and super game. If he were to find a way to win the next one, and, who knows what would happen after that, I would watch those dudes fight 5 times, 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, and then I think the last one I had, and this one's probably a little biased, actually definitely a little biased, was I put DC versus Jones at heavyweight.
Now, you're a glutton for punishment.
DC would rock him at heavyweight. But
at heavyweight, I know your little caveat in the question to make sure that it could never be based in reality.
All right. Okay. All right, so is that everything?
I'm just going to check the thread one more time, make sure we didn't miss anybody.
Oh, wait, actually, thank you for doing that, because I think I got... Thank you. Okay, whew, glad we did that. I've got a question from OG Dean Dog 3. Dean Dog 3's got a question. He said, "Hey, Phil and Fight Geek, I wanted to make sure that I got my question for episode 100. Congratulations to you and Fight Geek. I wonder who you guys think will be holding the 155 belt at the end of this year. #AskSplitPod. And as always, peace."
Now, that's an interesting one.
That's a great question. I can't believe I almost missed that.
Who's going to be holding it at the end of the year? Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say Poirier beats McGregor, fights the winner of Oliveira and Chandler, and beats that person. Dustin Poirier will be the belt holder at the end of the year. Not very exciting, but that's what I think.
I have to agree, frankly. I have to agree. Okay, and then I believe this might be the last question. This is from my good friend Zanbando99. At Zanbando99, he says, "Congrats on 100 episodes, boys. What is your favorite UFC event that you've been to live, and why? #AskSplitPod." So first of all, Fikey, I've only been to 3 UFC events live. Those are 214, 225, and 238. How many have you been to? I don't think we've been to that many altogether.
I've been to 3 as well. I couldn't tell you the names of them, but the 2 that really ring a bell to me, Gaethje versus Poirier and Ngannou versus Kane. But I would say Gaethje versus Poirier by a landslide. I think it was 2017 Fight of the Year. If not, it was in the running. Poirier stopped Gaethje in our home city of Phoenix. So, yeah, it was a badass fight. 2 of the best fighters in the world, all kinds of theatrics. But I will say, when I saw Francis knock out Kane on the undercard, I did get a chance to see Vettori versus Israel Adesanya 1 live. So that was cool.
Yeah. For me, it's pretty tough. Honestly, all 3 were, it sounds pretty lame. All 3 were cool in their own ways. Obviously, 214 Jones versus Cormier 2 was very special for me, being a DC fan, never having gone to a UFC event before. Obviously, kind of a disappointing ending. But, I was realistic. I knew Jones had a great chance of winning, and I had a lot of fun there. But if I have to be honest, I'm just giving my honest answer, there was nothing that came close to UFC 225 Whitaker versus Romero 2. When I say that the United Center was sold out, I mean it was so sold out that it was as crowded, they put this, it was as sold out as any event in United Center history that was not a Chicago Bulls game. And that's going back to the 90s during the MJ craze, right?
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it was filled to the friggin' brim, and when Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker threw down for that 5-round instant classic, I thought the damn roof was going to fall off. They were yelling so loud. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was a night I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Sounds epic. Yeah, same here. When they're, great fights live, I'm not sure that there's anything like it. The energy in the arena is just unbelievable. It's just everybody is just so sucked in and drawn into it. It's insane.
Yeah, really quick, guys, if you've never been to a UFC event live, I understand it's expensive. Trust me, I get that. Save up, go to at least one. You're going to be really, really happy that you spent that money.
For sure.
All right, is that it?
Do it? I think so.
All right, 100 episodes in the books, Fight Geek, to 100 more. Take us away, baby.
All right, guys, as usual, you can follow, I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words, the Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.